Hi guys, and welcome back to Hypershade Tutorials. In today's tutorial we're going to be covering the following. We're going to be replacing our current character with an actual model like you can see on screen. We're also going to be implementing the animations. So when we walk forward, back, left or right, we'll get the following results, and if we sprint holding shift we get the following. So let's crack on with this, and in the next tutorial after this I'm going to show you how to prevent the camera from going through the walls like so. So when we left off last time, we had something that looks similar to this. We have our asset over here. Sorry, I forgot to turn the camera back on. And we could rotate around this object, walk forward, back, left, right, and rotate along the direction of the camera. Now I don't want to use this character anymore, and I'm going to replace this. So the first step we have to do is to go to Maximo Animations and download a free character with a couple of animations. Now you can do this, or you can download the package which I've put down below in the description, which is the character I'm using currently with the animations that I have currently, and it's your choice. So let's go ahead to Maximo Animation and let's see how we can download the character and how we can get the animations. Right, in order to download a character from Maximo, you're going to need a free account. So go ahead and create a free account. As soon as you've done that, go ahead into the characters tab above, as you can see. Right, as soon as you've logged in, you'll be popped into the character screen like so. You've got a variety of options to choose from. I'm currently going to be using James, which I have currently selected. It's in his T-pose, and it is about 1 to 3 pages, I believe, and you can choose what you like depending on your project. Now the animations we're going to need for this project are walk, walk forward, walk back, strafe left and right, run forward and run back. To download that animation you can type it up in the search bar, as you can see. To download your animation, click on download and make sure your export FBX is set to Unity. Right, once we've done that, we can come back into Unity, and as you can see I've dragged my folder in here. That's all the animations I had with the character. So that's jogging forward, jump, run backwards, run in, idle, left strafe, right strafe, walking back and walking forward. Now you're going to find a problem when you download these assets. They'll come in the wrong rig. So if you go in the rig, they will normally say generic, and you want to change that to legacy and hit apply. As soon as you've done that, you click on animation, and according to the animation you have, you just rename it here and apply. Now for the idle animation you want to hit loop because you want it to continue to play. For the left strafe you're going to leave once, right you're going to leave as once, walking backwards you're going to leave as once, and walking you're going to leave as once. Another problem you're going to face is if you go into the scene view here, and if I drag and drop this character onto the screen, you currently see I have all the textures on him, but this won't be the case with you. You're going to find that whatever character you download won't come with the skins. So to get the skins for the character, you got click on any object, could be idle, left, straight, right, or whatever it is. You come to materials, and where it says extract textures, you click on that, and it's going to pop up this screen. Now I've already done this before. I've just made a separate folder and I call it model textures. As soon as you do that, you select that folder like so and you click next. It will automatically start extracting the textures that's on this character, and it will make a folder in Unity over here, and those textures will then be on this character. So let's start replacing this character. So I've dragged my character on screen. He's looking fairly good. Don't want to mess around too much with the textures yet. I'm just going to drag him in the right spot. He's in the idle stance already, which I like. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drag him into the third person. Nope, actually I'm going to rename the idle to player. This is our main character now. I don't need this character, so what I will do, I will turn this player off like so. What I will do is click on its player movement script, click on the free icons, I will copy the component, click on the player, I will click anywhere over here where the transform is, and I will paste components as new. That will paste a script for us over here. The other thing we need is our character controller. So again, I will copy the character controller the same way. Copy component, click on player, and paste component as new. And that will paste the character controller exactly around the player, like so. That's the basics done of that. Is there anything else we need off this original character? I believe no. So the other thing is, if you open up the main camera and look at target, you can take them out the original character and drop them into the player, like so. After that, camera free look cam, you can turn it on. We're going to be taking that away from our previous character and assigning it to the current character. So if you go back to its properties, you will see follow and look at. You need to adjust those. So we're going to put look at here, and for the follow we're going to put this one, and that will align it to your current character. Okay, like so. I'm just going to quickly adjust the look at. There we are. There we go. So that's perfect. Now I've got the main character in place. I'm just going to hit save. That's what we should have. So what we'll do next is we'll come in the third person controller light. That was the original character. We'll just delete that like so. So we should only have our new character, the settings inside the character with the maximum rig, maximum animation, sorry, the main camera, and the look at target. We can minimize that, and we're just going to run the project and see what happens. Okay, so you can see when starting, you'll see that the idle animation is playing. Now that's because if you look at the animation settings over here, it's got play automatically and idle is always playing automatically. You can leave that on and leave it exactly as it is. So we have the idle animation. We can still look around our character. We can walk forward. We can walk backwards. We can strafe left and right. We should be able to rotate around the camera like so. And that's perfect. So let's stop this and let's go into our script. Double click and open this in Visual Studios or whatever you're using. That's perfectly fine. Right, underneath the player rotation set reset, let's make a new header. Let's call this header, open bracket, animation system. Okay, hit save. The first variable we need is a public animation. I don't know what to call this. Let's just call it animation reference, because we're going to need a reference to the actual animation property of the player. The next step we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch of floats, and I'm going to call this public float, and I'm going to call this first one idle blend, comma, walk blend, comma, walk back blend, comma, strafe left, comma, strafe right, comma, sprint forward, comma, and finally sprint back, and a closing semicolon. Now you're probably confused and thinking, what am I doing over here? Rather than recreating variables again and again, I'm just going to define each and every single one with a comma. So that's one variable, that's one, that's one, that's one, that's one, that's one. So in total we have just created 7 floats here. Okay, and you can define that by closing off at the end, and that tells the system we can stop creating more floats. If I want to add another one, I'll just put a comma and put another name in here, and that will create one more float. But for now, that's all we need, okay? We're also going to need a string. I'm going to place the string before this, and I'm going to call this public string, lowercase s. I'm going to put 2 square brackets around this, and this will be an array, like so. And I'm going to call this animation name. Okay, like so. So the first one we're going to do, we're going to come down into awake, and over here we're going to say animation reference equals get component open braces animation open curly brace and closing curly brace and a semicolon. What we just telling the system over here is when the game starts on this current component, go ahead and grab its animation component. And if we go back into Unity, bear with me while it updates. Excuse the other scripts, it's just I just made them for testing purposes before the tutorial comes out. So it's looking at this object, the player, and it's going to grab its animation component, which is this one. So let's go back into Visual Studios. Alright, now in fix update, come into your key input section, which is here. So let's start with W. So when we press on W, what animation do we want to play? We want to play up. So what I will do here, underneath here, I'm going to say animation name, sorry, animation reference dot crossfade. You're going to put open bracket. It's going to ask you for a string here, the name of the animation. Now normally you could type it in here like this. Okay, but we have defined these in a variable, in an array. So I'm going to use animation name, like so. Now you can't just leave this like so because it's an array, and it's going to give you the error message like this. So what you need to do is put 2 open square brackets like this, one closing and one open, and inside the first one you're going to put 0. So we're going to get the first animation, which will be the walk, but in this case it won't. I want 0 to be the idle, so 1 is going to be our walk. Then I'm going to put a comma. It's going to ask me the fade length. Now for the fade length, I'm going to put walk blend. We'll blend these in the inspector mode and find out what's the best. So that's just one animation done. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go into S, and inside the S I'm going to paste it underneath when we're making the character move, and I'm going to change this to animation 2. I'm going to go into left strafe, and I'm going to paste the animation in there, and I'm going to call this animation 3. I'm going to go into the next line, which is key code D, and I'm going to paste it underneath there, and I'm going to call this animation 4. Now currently, if we leave this as it is, once our character plays one animation, it won't go back to idle because we have currently just told it to replace the current animation. So what we need to do is we need to tell the system that if our magnitude of our key is 0, we want to play idle. So what I'm going to say is if open bracket, and I'm going to say move, which is the variable we created before, dot magnitude is equals to 0. I want something to happen. I'm going to put open bracket, close bracket. I'm going to paste my animation command in here, and I'm going to say play animation 0. Now we need to go ahead and quickly rename a couple of things on these animations. So in the first one, walk blend is correct. In the second one, which is S, we want walk back blend. On the strafe, we want strafe left. On this one, we want strafe right. And in the final one over here, where it's idle, which is 0. We want idle blend. Good. Let's go back into Unity. Let the script update, and we will name our animations and we'll test it. Right, okay. So you need to expand your animation tab. Now we have about roughly, let's count the animations. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 animations. So I'm going to create 9 empty variables. You can just do that here by typing 9 rather than manually doing them. So the first one I want is idle, and they have to be spelled exactly how you spelt them in your animation on the character. So if I click on this, I go to animation, it should be just like this. So I've got a lowercase I, so it has to spell with a lowercase I. If you've got a space in there, you have to put a space in there. If you don't need to. Let's go back onto the character. I'm going to put idle. Then I'm going to put walking, so that's a W capital. Then I'm going to go into walking backwards. Okay. Then we're going to go to left strafe. I just want to see if I call this left strafe. I did. That's lowercase L. I'm going to go back into here. I'm going to paste that in there. Rather than taking the risk and writing them wrong, I'd rather just go into the animation, copy the names and paste them in there. And I'll just check the walk back one. Did I call it? Ah, there you go. It's called walk back, no spaces. Like so. I'm going to do the same thing for walking. Walking forward, I called it. There we go. I'll paste it into here. So far, that's all the animations, I believe. Idle, walking forward, walking back, strafe left, and strafe right. Let's have a test and see what happens. If we run our game. Okay, our character is standing. If I walk forward, it should trigger the walking forward animation. Right, it says animation state walking forward could not be played because it could not be found. That's perfectly fine, that's my mistake, I can show you why. Now you can see on the animation component we haven't added all the animations, so I'm going to increase that by 9, and it's going to do that, which I don't like, so it's going to go ahead and delete that. Oh, actually I'm going to undo it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can do it this way. I can't. I'm going to open up each animation, and I'm going to have to drag its animation on to the animation name here. I'll add it on. Walking forward, walking backwards. I'm just going to pause the video for the sake of time, and we are back. I have added all my animations to my animation component, as you can see. So let's play our game now and let's see what happens. Okay, so our character is standing, he's in idle. If I press W, he should play his walk animation like so. If I press S, he'll play his back animation like so. If I press D, he'll play his right strafe, and A for the left strafe. Now you can see as soon as I let go any of the keys, it plays this idle animation immediately. Now we need to set the blend time, because if you notice they kind of cut straight away when you let go of the keys. Like so. We want to prevent that, so I'm going to put the idle animation to 0.5, 0.04 on each of these, 0.04, 0.04, 0.04. I will probably do the same for the sprints. I'll put 0.01, 0.01. We'll have to add the sprint after this, so let's see how that looks. Okay, it seems to be looking a lot more better. Just going to play around with this one here. Walking forward seems to have an issue. That's too much. 0.08. Let's reduce that 0.015. That's much better. So with these values, I'm quite happy. You can go ahead and copy these if you want, or you can play around and set your own values. So I'm just going to stop the project. Before I do that, actually, I'm just going to quickly copy this and paste my values back here immediately. There we go. What we need to do next is name the rest of the animations. So I have running, so with a capital R. We have run backwards, jump, and jump forward. Save it. Let's go back into our script and let's start making the player run. So underneath our player move left, which is our strafe, we're going to add a new comment and we're going to call this player run. Now I'm going to say if open bracket input dot get key open bracket. If we are holding down key code dot left shift, which is your left shift key on your control on your keyboard, which is here, and you put the double and sign, we press input dot get key open bracket key code dot w. We want to print sprint forward, or I'm going to say or I'm going to copy the lines from here to here. I'm going to paste it just after this, and I'm going to leave the W as it is. No, actually not the W, sorry, the shift. I'm going to put dot where the W was and put up arrow. So if we are holding the left shift key and pressing W at the same time, we'll play the sprint animation, or if we're holding the left shift and the up key, we'll play the sprint animation. So after these two closing brackets, we're going to put an open curly brace and a closing curly brace. Now inside here, all we do is just going to copy one of these commands and just change the animation state to 5, and we're going to call this sprint forward, like so. I'm going to copy this entire code. I'm going to put a new comment, sprint back, like so, and I'm going to paste it underneath here. I'm going to keep the same shift key. I'm going to change this to S, and I'm going to change this to down arrow, and I'm going to change the animation to 6, and I'm going to change this to sprint backwards. I know I have it somewhere. There you go. Sprint back. Now that has just implemented sprinting into our game. So if I go back into Unity, okay, let's run this and let's see what happens. Right, okay. So our player is standing, is in its idle mode. I'm pressing forward, it stops, goes back into idle. I'm pressing back, stops, goes back into idle. Pressing right, left, I'm holding down shift, he's running forward, I'm holding down shift, I'm pressing W, S, nothing's happening, because it can't find, run backwards could not be placed, it could not be found. Apologies, that's my mistake, it's not run backwards, it's run backward. Let's play that again and that should solve it. Okay, he's running, strafing left and right, he's running backwards. Oh, there's a little clipping if you can see that. So sprinting forward is fine, but the blending time for the back one isn't that good. I can see a little clipping that happens. So I'm going to adjust the time real time. I'll put 0.001 on its back sprint. Much better. Good. Now, one of the issues we're facing right now is we're using the sprint value as our move speed. I don't want to do that, so let's go back into our script. Let's make a new float near our strafe speed. I'm going to put a comma, and I'm going to call this sprint speed, like so. And I'm going to set this at the default as 0.07 followed by F. I'm going to copy the float name, which is sprint speed. I'm going to come down into our input management, and I'm going to change the sprinting value to something different. Actually, that's not a good idea. Let's just copy the move speed, and let's just go back up here and delete the sprint speed. I was just thinking about something, it won't make sense later on. When we're pressing the shift, let's put this as 0.07 F, and the same for the first one when we're running upwards. Now when we are walking normally, we want our move speed to return back to normal, so what I will do, I'll place that underneath here. I'm going to put that at 0.04, and we don't need to do the same for strafe because strafe is completely different, and that should solve that issue. So if I go back into Unity, let it update, right, okay, I'm walking, I'm sprinting, I see that sprinting has a little clipping issue as well. I'm going to put these at 0.001, 0.001. That's better. So I can run backwards, I can let go and it goes into its idle. Yeah, I mean, there we have it. You can play around with your blending animations over here and get it to be more smoother. Remember, this is just the basics of it. I will go through later on a better blending system. For now, this is doable and it works. I'm happy with this. I would rather increase the sprint speed. Don't like it as it currently is. Before we do that and end this tutorial, let's just do that. I'm going to chain these as well. I'm going to go back into our script, and I'm going to change the sprint speed to 0.01, like so. Back into Unity. Just play the game again, let's see what happens. Okay. I'm only interested in the sprint at this point. That's much more better. That actually feels like you're sprinting this time. Looks really good so far. Now we've got this platform here. If we walk up, I'm going to show you something which we'll cover in the next tutorial. You can see he's walking up fine, right? But we have no gravity in our player. Watch what happens when I walk off this cliff. This edge, sorry. Nothing happens. Our character doesn't fall down, which is silly. So in the next video, we're going to be covering gravity and making our player jump. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. See you in the next video. Take care.